It was circa 2011 or so when some people from the CIA and an aerospace company came to me to ask me for their help on the analysis of some individuals who had encountered some anomalous objects, they said.
So without putting your professional credibility, reputation on the line, etc., you're around people who study this stuff for a living, who are the most knowledgeable people on this topic in the world.
Yes.
What is their general sense of what this might be?
That this is not from Earth. And it's just unscientific to not study it.
Yes, amen.
Right? I mean, it's just wrong. And if you're going to be that way, you're a priest, you're not a scientist.
Welcome to the critical cloud mass. Can the study of UFOs and their physical effects on humans benefit humanity? Listen to what this Stanford professor's research might have revealed. And
this is what when I have these conversations with other scientists who have told me, Gary, you're going to ruin your reputation. I'm like, well, my reputation has been always going against the grain, and look at where I am. I'm perfectly fine going against the grain.
The crazy thing about the topic of UFOs is how, when you get into it, how really non-crazy a lot of the people who know a lot about the topic turn out to be. They're kind of the opposite of what you imagine. They're not for conspiracy nuts. A lot of them are just scientists. Garry Nolan is definitely at the top of that list. He's a Stanford professor, Stanford PhD, he's an immunologist. And he has, over the last decade or two, spent a lot of time studying the harmful effects that apparent encounters with UFOs have on the human brain. This is a field of study, and he is at the very top of it.
My main job, my day job at Stanford for the last 30 years has been the development of technologies to look at cancer and blood. And so we've spun a number of companies and sold a number of companies that we started out of my lab. Two of them are actually on NASDAQ. And the idea has always been that if money is coming in from the NIH, we should give back to the public. In the process of developing some of these, we developed an instrument called CyTOF, which is really all about studying blood cells at a deeper level than anybody's been able to do before. And so it was circa 2011 or so when some people from the CIA and an aerospace company came to me to ask me for their help on the analysis of some individuals who had encountered some anomalous objects, they said. And one of the things that they wanted to do in a complete medical workup of these individuals was to look at the blood. It's a natural thing to do. If you're looking for an inflammation, the blood is one of the places you might look to get a sort of a more complete list of everything that's going on in the body. And so that's when somebody said, well, if you want to do this, do it properly, you got to go talk to this guy Nolan at Stanford, because he has the world's best instrument that he's developed for doing it. And they showed me some brain images of individuals who had been damaged, and internal scarring you can see through MRIs. And you know, it's data, it's unmistakable. And the brain images were interesting because one of the things that we noticed in these individuals, and this is sort of a side study which I'm working on with a group at Harvard, is we noticed that an area of the brain, the caudate putamen, in many of these individuals was overdeveloped. That's a whole other story, but basically we figured out that this is an area where intuition happens, and a lot of these individuals who we had were, it's called them high functioning. You know, you don't get to be a pilot of an expensive craft without being reasonably smart and having intuition. And so just a side benefit of studying this allowed us to come up with a medical understanding. We're following up with that in a mainstream science way with a neurophysiology group at Harvard. And we've validated the original findings. But that was it's sort of an example of, because we paid attention to anomalous data, we found an anomaly that really had nothing to do with the injury in the first place, but it told us something about what makes people intuitive and smart. And that is going off in a mainstream direction.
That's cool.